Hi viewers, welcome to Deep Dive America. Today we bring you a story that's shaking the foundations of the internet, the explosive showdown between the US government and TikTok. What's really behind this unprecedented ban? Is it about protecting your data, or is this the opening salvo in a new Cold War for digital dominance? For years, TikTok has been the most downloaded app in America, but buried in its code lies a disturbing connection to China's authoritarian regime. A 2017 law forces Chinese companies to hand over data to the Communist Party. So why did Washington wait until now to act? The truth involves shadowy lobbying, billion-dollar tech rivalries, and a generation of influencers caught in the crossfire. Some call this censorship, others call it national security. But one thing's certain, this battle will redefine privacy, free speech, and global power in the digital age. We've analyzed classified reports, tracked the money trail, and uncovered what neither Silicon Valley nor Beijing wants you to know. This isn't just about dancing videos, it's about who controls the future of information. The TikTok ban is just the beginning. TikTok exploded onto the global stage almost overnight. Launched internationally in 2017 by Chinese tech giant ByteDance, it didn't just become popular, it dominated. Gen Z flocked to its addictive short videos, viral dances, and meme culture. But the real secret behind TikTok's success wasn't just its content, it was its terrifyingly good algorithm. Powered by massive amounts of user data, it learns what you want faster and better than almost any competitor. But here's where things get concerning. Because ByteDance is based in Beijing, all that data TikTok collects, every like, every comment, even your location, could fall under Chinese surveillance laws. One law in particular raises major red flags: China's 2017 National Intelligence Law. It forces companies to hand over user data to the government whenever asked. No questions, no refusal. That set off alarm bells in Washington. If Beijing can access the personal data of millions of Americans, or users anywhere, what does that mean for privacy? For national security? Suddenly, TikTok wasn't just an app. It became a potential tool for surveillance, sparking fierce debates and even bans in some countries. The same algorithm that made TikTok unstoppable might also be its biggest liability. For years, suspicions about TikTok lingered in the background, until 2020, when they exploded into full view. That's when President Trump moved to force a sale of TikTok's US operations. But this wasn't just about data privacy anymore. The real fear? Influence. US intelligence agencies sounded the alarm. What if TikTok became a tool for Chinese propaganda? What if it quietly censored anti-China content while flooding feeds with Beijing-approved messaging? Leaked memos revealed deep concerns inside the NSA and CIA, agencies that don't panic easily. But here's the twist they don't want you to focus on. While politicians framed this as a pure national security issue, America's own tech giants were pulling strings behind the scenes. Meta and Google, giants of Silicon Valley, lobbied hard to clip TikTok's wings. Publicly, they talked about protecting users. Privately, they were terrified. TikTok wasn't just another competitor. It was rewriting the rules of engagement, mastering virality in ways they couldn't match. And for the first time, an American-dominated industry faced a real threat from a Chinese app that didn't just keep up, but led. So ask yourself, was this crackdown really about safeguarding democracy? Or was it also about protecting Silicon Valley's bottom line? The truth, as always, is somewhere in the shadows. To grasp TikTok's role in today's data war, you need to zoom out and see the bigger picture. China's sweeping digital ambitions under President Xi Jinping. Central to this is the Digital Silk Road, a global initiative designed to export Chinese technology and infrastructure to the rest of the world. It's not just about cables and satellites, it's about influence. TikTok, to many, isn't just a harmless app filled with dance trends and memes. Critics call it a digital Trojan horse, an entry point for Beijing to gather vast amounts of foreign data, subtly shape global narratives, and project soft power far beyond its borders. And it's not alone. Apps like WeChat too have become tools in this broader strategy. Cybersecurity analysts warn that ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, maintains concerning ties with China's state-run media. Despite ByteDance's repeated denials, insiders and whistleblowers have come forward, alleging they were directed to suppress sensitive topics like the Tiananmen Square massacre, while quietly pushing content that paints China in a favorable light. These aren't just isolated claims. They point to a coordinated effort to use digital platforms for geopolitical gain. The implications are deep. This battle isn't just over who controls the data. It's a conflict over who controls the narrative, over what truth looks like in the digital age. And in that sense, the stakes couldn't be higher. Here's where things really start to get messy. The push to ban TikTok isn't just about cybersecurity. It's becoming a test case for how far the US government is willing to go in the name of national security. Critics warn that banning an app purely because of its ownership sets a dangerous precedent. If TikTok gets the boot today, what stops the government from targeting other platforms tomorrow, especially ones it simply disagrees with? Could this open the door to censorship masquerading as protection? Civil liberties groups, including the ACLU, have come out swinging. They argue that a ban like this violates the First Amendment, the right to free speech, and that users should be able to choose what platforms they engage with, regardless of who owns them. But the other side of the debate is just as forceful. Cybersecurity experts say the US has been asleep at the wheel. While lawmakers debated, TikTok was quietly collecting data on over 150 million Americans. And this isn't just usernames and email addresses. It's facial recognition data. It's behavioral patterns. It's biometric info, some of the most sensitive and personal data there is. And when that data is potentially accessible to a foreign government, especially one with an aggressive digital strategy like China's, the risks become impossible to ignore. The fear isn't just surveillance, it's manipulation. The idea that algorithms could be subtly tweaked to influence what people see, think, and believe. So now, lawmakers are stuck in a high-stakes balancing act. On one hand, there's the need to protect civil liberties and avoid overreach. On the other, there's a very real and growing threat in the form of data exploitation and foreign influence. It's not just a policy question, it's a philosophical one. Where do we draw the line between safeguarding our freedoms and safeguarding ourselves? That's the uncomfortable dilemma facing the US right now. And whatever decision comes next could reshape the digital landscape for years to come. What we're witnessing right now isn't just a ban on an app. It's the opening battle in what many are calling a global tech Cold War. At the heart of this struggle is the race for dominance over the 21st century's most valuable resource: data. The United States and China are no longer just economic competitors. They're strategic rivals, locked in a high-stakes contest for technological supremacy. And TikTok? It's simply the most visible front line. The app has become a symbol, an early flashpoint in a much broader conflict that touches everything from artificial intelligence and semiconductors to cloud infrastructure and undersea cables. In Washington, the response isn't ad hoc. It's part of a calculated effort to push back against China's rapid advancements in critical technologies. The CHIPS and Science Act, for example, is pumping billions into American semiconductor production, trying to ensure the U.S. doesn't remain dependent on a supply chain that ultimately leads back to Beijing. Export bans are being used like economic weapons, aimed at slowing China's access to cutting-edge AI chips and quantum computing tools. And even traditional military alliances are evolving to reflect this new reality. Take AUKUS, the pact between the US, the UK, and Australia. On the surface, it's about submarines. But behind the scenes, it's also about cyber capabilities, data security, and protecting digital infrastructure across the Indo-Pacific. China, for its part, isn't standing still. It's building a parallel ecosystem, one that doesn't rely on Western hardware, software, or standards. Beijing is investing heavily in its own chip makers, writing its own rules for the internet, and exporting that model through initiatives like the Digital Silk Road. Chinese companies are rolling out their own versions of everything, from cloud services to GPS, and pitching them to countries across Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. The result? A slow but very real bifurcation of the global internet. This divide is no longer theoretical, it's unfolding in real time. Two digital spheres are emerging, one shaped by Silicon Valley values like openness, interoperability, and user privacy, the other by Beijing's emphasis on control, surveillance, and centralized authority. The question now isn't if this split will deepen, it's how far it will go. Will the world end up with two separate internets, two incompatible tech stacks, two visions of what digital life should look like? That's not science fiction. That's the roadmap we're on. And the choices made in the next few years by governments, companies, and everyday users could lock in that future for generations. So where does that leave us? The TikTok ban isn't just about one app. It's become a litmus test for how modern democracies confront foreign influence in the digital age. It's exposing a future that's already taking shape, where the lines between technology and government, data and ideology, freedom and fear are increasingly hard to tell apart. And let's be clear, this fight is far from over. Legal challenges are mounting. Content creators, many of them young, influential voices, are organizing and speaking out. Meanwhile, halfway around the world, Beijing is watching every move, studying the response and adjusting its own playbook. Because as we've said from the beginning, this was never just about dancing videos. It's about who controls the platforms where billions of people spend their time. It's about who gets to shape public opinion, gather personal data, and influence the flow of information. And what they're not telling you is that this war, it's already happening, right now on the screen you're holding in your hand. Every scroll, every tap, every algorithm-fed feed is part of it. So if you found this video informative, hit that like button, share it with your friends, drop your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe to Deep Dive America for more in-depth looks at the forces shaping our digital future.